Alright, welcome back to our channel. Today I have an exciting video for you. Why rolling over your 401k might save you from disaster. And this is not just a cliche statement. This is something real that I have evidence for, and I'm gonna show it to you. It's a strategy that we did back in 2021, and it saved us from the 2022 market fall, and now we're seeing some similar things happening again. So I'm really excited to share this with you. So in this video, I'm gonna show you why your 401k is actually losing money. I'm going to show you how this matches up with 2008 and 2022 losses. I'm going to give you some information on how to do strategic rollovers, some of the benefits of it, and actual examples. This information is for you to examine the data critically and for you to make an informed decision. And I have spent probably just weeks looking at information right now. I've spent the last year really looking at different carriers and companies and running an illustration. I am a registered nurse, but I'm also a financial professional, and I'm registered, licensed in 9 different states. My wife is in finances, and she is licensed in about 15 different states. Some of the information I've compiled is from Bloomberg, Yahoo Finance, PBS, CBS, Forbes, MarketWatch, CNBC, and I'm hoping that you go back and look at some of these links that I gave you so that you could look at some of the videos that I have short clips on. It's really good to look at the entire videos from CBS and PBS. There are a ton of them, but I'm going to highlight just 2 of them, and I'm just going to put the disclaimer up front. This is for all social media influencers or content creators. The FTC has guidelines for us, especially when we're doing educational videos and making recommendations. This is for educational purposes. There are no brand deals in this video. I'll not be promoting one company over another. The information is, of course, free. And the goal of this video is really for you to think critically and make informed decisions. Too many people go with the hype. They go with polished presenters. They go with so many different things rather than critical information and accurate information. So please speak to a financial professional and exercise due diligence and compare all the options and multiple companies before you make a final decision. Now, here's a question for you. Do you want to lose money or make more money? It seems obviously that you want to make more money, and that's why you're looking at the video. But I want you to really think about that. Think about it, the decisions moving forward, especially with your 401k. Now, right now, things are tough. Things are tough with so many people. I have friends, relatives that are going through some tough time. I know stock market prices, inflation, worries, people are losing in their retirement, people are losing jobs, there are layoffs. There's rising food prices in the groceries all the time. People are worried about their finances. People are worried about going into poverty. Healthcare is becoming such a challenge. I'm in healthcare, and it's already a challenge, and we're already short-staffed. And there are some hospitals that are actually laying off nurses and stuff, even though they're short-staffed because of financial pressures, which is like, how do we fix this? So Medicare and Medicaid is actually going to face some reduction. I don't know all the details right now, but things are changing just on a daily basis. There's a Netflix series that has a character called Jinx. It's Arcane 2, and she said the statement, because in a moment it could all go boom. And it's just a foretelling of how tragic something could happen when you make poor choices. But here are some alarming statistics, and I just want you to really critically focus on a couple of them and really think about, does this really apply to me? Would this really affect me? So the US stock market lost $5 trillion in value. This is only in 3 weeks. Now this is groundbreaking. In only 3 weeks, $5 trillion. To put this in context, how much 5 trillion is, if you were to spend $1 per second, like every second you just spend $1, it would take you 158,549 years. which is way beyond your lifetime. So we've lost so much money, and where did it go, and what's going to happen, and some of the losses are in your is in our retirement, unfortunately. So this type of stock market crash does affect your retirement, and there's a ton of historical data. We're examining a little bit of it without this video becoming too complex. But this article in 2022, the stock market fell, its worst since 2008. The S&P 500 was down 20%. People's retirement accounts were pretty low. So an example in 2022, there's a 35% decline in the NASDAQ, and in 2008 there was a 40% decline. Now the thing about 2022 seemed to have affected some retirement plans more than others, and that's because of bonds. And I'm not going to go through all the details, but both years there were major trouble with people 401k, and a lot of people did absolutely nothing with their 401k. They just left it alone, and I understand why. It's like, you're told, you join a healthcare company, hospital, HR provides you a nice packet that tells you to direct you online to sign up, get all the benefits, visual, dental, all those different things, and your 401k. You recognize a company match at different points, and more or less you're told, leave your money in the 401k, it'll go up or go down, but don't worry about it. It evens out over time. Time is gonna somehow heal it magically. The HR person doesn't have any information, really and truly. They will always direct you back to whatever company, whether it's Charles Schwab or Fidelity, whatever companies. And even when you call them, you're not going to get all the information. Some critical information that you need to find out is, one, how much is your return and how much is your actual return. So your actual return is like after all the fees and stuff. And you'll be shocked, like TISP and stuff is like 3.5%. That's your actual return. And in these times now, what is your return actually going to be after this year? Now, I was trying to think of an example to kind of describe what's going on. And it's sort of like in Austin Powers, there's a steamroller scene. I don't know which one the Austin Powers, but Austin Powers decides to get away from the villain's lair. So the fastest vehicle he picked up was a steamroller. And then there's a security guard probably about 200 yards away that's yelling, "No, stop." And then the scene probably is 5 minutes, and the security guard had so much time to move out of the steamroller, but then he didn't, and the steamroller ran over him. So we're in a situation where people know their 401k has already fallen. It may continue to fall, and they may not do anything. So, and they don't know what you can do, but there are a lot of things that you could do to protect. And we're going to only discuss one of those things in this video. And it's probably the best strategy, and it's something that we applied and we've benefited from. So, some more information. During the 2008 financial crisis, the US households as a whole lost $16 trillion in net worth. With the stock market value falling by half, 50%, unemployment reached 10%. And the reason why I'm kind of shaking my head here, it seems like this is like deja vu, because if you look at some of the job stats figures now, there's a massive layoff. Are we going to get more than 10% this year? It seems like it's growing just like in a couple of weeks. So it's pretty scary. So really looking at you, just not ignoring it. If you get a gunshot wound, don't ignore it. Don't just put a band-aid over a gunshot wound. Your retirement has already taken a hit. Don't just say like, just leave it. It's going to work out. So during the 2008 stock market crash, retirement accounts, 401, 403, the IRAs, TIS, whatever, they lost $2.8 trillion. So the average account, the American accounts, was 32%. Some accounts lost 40% and more. You could go up and look at all these stats. It is alarming. So, going back to this steamroller, there's a market crash already. You have suffered loss already. If you didn't check your 401k, you'll know. If you just check it by the end of the year, you'll see how much you lost. Are you just going to stay and just leave it and not make any change or do anything to protect yourself? If you're not going to do anything, you could just log off and not learn what I'm about to share with you. But I'm going to share some really helpful information that may very well impact your retirement future. No, so very good. You're here. You want to learn more. That is absolutely great. Now, a critical concept is that in your retirement, not only do you want to maximize the gain, you want to reduce your losses. But a lot of us, I mean, myself included, I had a 401k and I never, this is before I was in financing last year, never logged in, never checked it, didn't know about the indices, didn't know how to change anything. But your 401k is your responsibilities. Many years ago, they had pension, and then there was a company that managed everything, and they're responsible for it making money, and they'd pay you till the time you die. The 401k is your responsibility. The company that provides the 401k has a third party that is providing 401k. They get a tax write-off. They also get a tax write-off for the employee contribution. So if the employer's contribution and they're putting it with the employee contribution, they're getting a tax write-off for having that. So let's look at the losses. So if you're in the stock market, so with this, your 401k, it's in some type of stocks, bonds, something. If it suffers a 10% loss, it has to grow by 11% just to break even. If it's like a 30% loss, it's 43%. If it's a 50% loss, it has to grow by 100% just to break even. So let's see how the math works out. So say in 2021, you had $100,000 in your 401k. The market lost 50%. Then your 401k would be valued at 50,000. So you start in 2022 with 50,000. And if the market gained 50%, then you'll be at 75,000. But the truth is, this is just made up figures because the actual fall was in 2022, not in 2021. But the fall started in 2021, actually. So let's just see if there is a different kind of account. So there are different kinds of retirement account. This video doesn't cover all of them. This covers one particular type and one particular type of annuity. And I'll explain a little bit more about annuities. Just a little bit. These are a type of account that provided by an insurance company that they protect. You're guaranteed not to go under. And their fees, just like your 401k, your 401k sometimes could have up to 14 different fees, including management fees, different things. So there are fees. So with the annuity, there's no employer match. So, but you could get a higher rate of return. And also it's protected. So if you had in 2021 the same 100,000, the market lost 50%, you'd have lost nothing because it wasn't a protected account. There's a 0% floor. So that the insurance company says you will not lose if the stock market drops because your money is not in there. The insurance company, they have the investments, they protect your money, they will match whatever index you choose. They say like, you want to match the S&P 500, you want to do a multi-layer one, you could choose whichever indices is within that insurance company. And if it grows, you gain the growth. If it loses, you don't go below zero. So in this example, if you had in any one of those insurance companies a fixed index annuity, you had 100,000, the market lost 50%, you end up with 100,000. You've lost nothing. So in 2022, the stock market went up. So in 2022, the stock market dropped, but it also came back up too. So it gained 50%, you'd be at 150,000. So if you had 100,000 in your 401k, it would have been down to 75,000. If it was in a FIA, it would be 150,000, twice the amount. So this is just an extreme example of the market losing and gaining 50%, which is not normally the case. This is not a realistic figure. There are realistic figures that will be covering the actual S&P figures in the next video. So let's just give some background so you can understand some of the terminology that I'm going to be describing, and I'm going to show you an actual live example of an account, a 401k account in the 21-22 era, and in FIA account from the same person, 21-22 era. So there are three ways to invest our money. Basically, fixed could be a bank, CDs, fixed rate, 3%, 2%. Some banks, you actually only get like 1% or 0.1% because you have a lot of fees. They give you this amount, but then you have a bunch of fees. In variable accounts like stocks, 401k, IRAs, you go up and down and it doesn't grow. With stocks, you have to pay capital gains. In 401ks, you benefit in not paying taxes now, but as a tax deferred, it means you'll pay taxes when you retire. You also have to pay taxes on the money your employer contributed to the account as well. So in an index account, which is a fixed index annuity or IUL, the different kind of protected account, these accounts, if the stock market goes up, you gain a portion or all of it, depending on what type of indices. If the market falls, so like the market fell here, it doesn't fall, it remains at a zero. If it goes up, you gain some of the growth. If it doesn't grow, you don't gain any of the losses. If it goes up, you gain, in this one, all of the gains. If it losses, you gain none of the losses. It goes up. So if you look at an account with a variable and an index, you will see there is a massive difference in terms of the percentage of growth. So, my question for you, and you don't have to think too hard about this. If you leave all of your money in your 401k in a losing market, will you get it back? The answer is no. Now, 401ks are very important. They're part of having a really diversified portfolio. It should not be your only one. You should have a diversified portfolio. Especially if you're getting a company match, you could keep it. But sometimes, depending on the company, your company match may not be enough to compete with a FIA. So you could go with one of your companies like, you know what, it doesn't make sense. I'm getting a much higher rate of return. The thing is to actually sit down and let someone show you the numbers from each side and run from multiple companies and see where you will get the best growth. And I'll show you a piece of software that you could gather some of that information from. So a way you could think about this is if you're running a relay race, if one of the runners stumbles, he has to run like twice as hard to catch up to the runners. Your 401k, the stumble that is already made has to perform super high to catch up with someone that has money in a FIA. Any one of those insurance companies, there's some better than others. But even the worst one, you would still have gained if it's a protected account. So the average 401k balance dropped by 20.5%. And I'm just going to stop here. Because if you have friends or relatives that suffer this kind of loss, it is heart-rending that people lost like so much. If they had like 30,000, which was the average, they end up to 103,000 in 1 year. What took them years to build and contribute every month to, they just lost it in a couple weeks. And today, at this point, this is March 16th. It is 12 a.m. when I'm recording this. People have suffered major loss. So I just want to show you an actual account. And this is permission from a relative of mine. Worked in healthcare, CHI Franciscan. They had money in a 401k, contributed for years into this 401k. And this time is 2022, the first of 2022, beginning of the year, they had 404,000. When it was the 16th of May, they were down to 355. They lost 15%. A loss of almost $50,000. So the more money you have, the more money you'll actually lose. So you have less money in a 401k, you'll lose less. That's 15%, but people lost 20% and more depending on where your money is. This same person, they actually had worked with another company and transferred some money into a fixed index annuity. I put a smiley face here so that you don't see the company one and you don't see the person two. But you can see the dates here. This is when they transferred the money. So I just want to give you some context on why this growth was so much. So because different insurance companies offer different deals. They're in FIAs. Generally, there are two types. You could have one with some with bonuses or with high growth. Usually, you don't get growth, both. So if you want a high bonus, that means that as you start the account, you get a bonus. Then you could some people take the money out and put it in another account where it could grow tax deferred. And this is what this person did. Or if you're younger, or you just want high growth, then put it in a high growth account. In this account, she got a 10% bonus. As she put the money in, she got a 10% bonus. And after that, the account grew 20%. So she ended up with a 32.9% growth. And this was in 2022. This is only 7 months in 2022. Because remember, stocks didn't just fall in 2022, it came back up as well. So at this 7 month in 2022, she already had a 32% growth. And I'm just going to go back here